I'm excited to bring on today an agent that recently joined our agency. I believe she's been with us for about 60 days or so. Her name is Tabitha Miller. Tabitha Miller joined us recently, and last week she had probably one of her biggest weeks ever. And we'll ask her here in a second, but she wrote $17,000 in business in 1 week. And from my understanding, she doesn't have any experience in the industry. And so Tabitha, welcome on.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Yes, I am. I'm new, not new to insurance, but I am new to the life insurance part of it. I came from Allstate, primarily selling auto and home policies for the past 10 years.
Awesome. Okay. What made you want to get into the life side of business?
Well, I originally got into insurance to be able to sell life insurance. However, the way that it was structured, you have to basically give a referral to what's called an EFS, someone that just specifically does life insurance. That's just the way Allstate had it structured. So we just had to do it. But I did right out of school. I worked 10 years for a company, and all I did was set appointments for life insurance agents from the age of like 19 to 29. So.
Okay. So you've been setting appointments for years. So this is probably a no-brainer for you.
Yes. So I saw all the money they made, and I said, once I grew up and got older, that I was going to do that.
I guess that time's now, huh?
Yes, it is.
Well, so, all right. So you've been doing PNC, right?
Yes.
So how long were you doing that?
I did that for about 10 years.
10 years. Okay. So what was the moment, what happened that made you finally take that plunge and say, you know what, I'm getting into this life business? And how did you link up with us as well? And tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. Well, actually, so I'll tell you, my husband comes from the oil field industry, and he was laid off in March of 20. And basically, he was searching for a job, and he came across it on Facebook, and he said, I think I can do this. And so he showed it to me. It was actually on a Wednesday on January 4th. He showed it to me, and I watched the videos. And then I saw that there was a sales conference in Austin on January 5th. And so I said, I'm taking off work and I'm going to that. I'm going to find out what it's all about. Then I'll know if it's legit or for real, because of course, at first I didn't believe it. Well, I went to the event and I was sold. I said, well, I'm doing this. If you want to do it too, that's fine, but I'm doing this. So I started doing it just part-time. I guess by the time, I got through the contracting and everything like that, which took a couple of weeks, it was like the last week of January. So I ran appointments just on Saturday and Sundays for 3 weeks. So the last week of January and the first 2 weeks of February.
Okay. And then how did you connect with Erica?
I actually saw her video on one of the YouTube. One of the, there's so many different subscriptions that I am on now. I can't remember, but it was an interview where she was being interviewed, and I liked her interview. And so I actually sent her a text on January 4th and said, am I allowed to go to the conference that's in Austin tomorrow? And she said, sure, you can go. So that's what I did.
That's awesome. The power of the internet, huh?
Yes.
Love it. I love it. Well, awesome. So tell us a little bit about kind of what you've been doing. So you've been part-time for a little while. Tell us about when you went full-time, what made you go full-time, kind of what that transition was. And then tell us a little bit about what that looks like from a lead standpoint, how many, what leads you're getting, how many leads you're getting week over week, and then kind of talk to us a little bit about appointments and things like that too.
Okay. I went full time the very last weekend of February. I went out in one day and made the amount of money I normally make at my job full time. And so I told Erica, I said, that's it. I'm done. I'm turning in my notice. So I left Allstate February 24th. So from February 24th till basically the end of March, which I guess that ends up being like 5 weeks. That's when I issue paid the 18,000. So basically my first full month in the business, I issue paid 18,000.
Okay. Okay. So now you did that. You earn more you said in a weekend than you do in a month.
Yes.
More in a weekend.
I sold $5,000 in one weekend working part-time. And that's when I said I'm giving my notice, because that's what I make in a month at Allstate.
Isn't that crazy? You made
It's
more
very crazy.
in a weekend than you do in a month. Like even saying that, like I have to say it again and again. Like
Yeah.
What?
So, it is crazy.
I love it. All right. So then now you're full-time, right?
Yes.
Guys, drop a 100 if this is awesome. She made more money in a weekend than she did in a month. I mean, where else can you do that in America? Nowhere, right?
Yep. You're absolutely
Drop a 100, show Tabitha some love. All right. So Tabitha, talk to us now. You're full-time, right?
Yes.
Now, where do you live?
In Fort Worth, Texas.
Fort Worth, Texas. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So Fort Worth, Texas. So what leads are you running? How many leads, or what's your lead budget per week? And then how does that transition into appointments?
Well, of course, I started out my lead budget, even though it's just been a little over a month, there's a big difference. So I started out with spending $500 on instant CRM leads. I'd spend $500 a week. And, I would get usually between 15 and 20 appointments a week. I just the learning process, even though I'm used to being on the phone, it's still, just overcoming objections and not saying too much, just different things like that. So I would set between probably 15 to 20 appointments. I've been fortunate that my close ratio is pretty good. And I guess the first few weeks, I would have a tendency to take too long in the home. So I would tell Erica, I'm like, I don't know about 30 and 40 appointments. I would never make it. I wouldn't make it. I wouldn't make it to half of them. But as time goes on, you get better, and the ones. Don't waste your time. Talk to them in the beginning. You can get a feel, tell them what you're going to do. As they say, when you go into the appointment, just lay it out there, tell them exactly what you're there to do. And if there's pushback or hesitation, there's no point in wasting your time. Just go to the next. So I've gotten better with that. And now I try to always at least get 30 appointments a week. And it doesn't matter if I can't do that on, by my Tuesday and Wednesday and Friday, Saturday, I'll run on Sunday. I don't care what day there's no set days that I run. If I have someone that says they're only off on Mondays, like when you called me earlier, I had just left an appointment because my goal for this month is 50,000. So whatever I have to do, if it means meeting at 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night, 7 in the morning, 6 in the morning, I'll do whatever.
I love it. I love it. So how many leads what are you spending a week now? You told us what you started spending.
I spend, so last month in March, I spent 1,000 a week in leads. And I don't really know the number, because what I do is I get leads from Happy Agent and Bang Bang, and then I also supplement with the CRM. So I would say usually it's at least going to be about 100 leads a week, or really it's probably more like 100 leads each dial day.
Okay. So you're going the volume game, right? You're trying to get 100 leads every Monday, 100 leads every Thursday. So that way your numbers work in your favor, because it's a lot easier to set 15 appointments on 100 leads versus 15
Right.
appointments out of 50,
Right.
right?
Right. Just like for already just this month, I've spent, so my first week in April, I spent $2,500 in leads.
Okay, so you spent $2,500 your first week in April, and how much did you make?
Well, I submitted 17,000 in my first week.
So your cash flow, maybe 10, 12?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not a bad ROI, huh?
Nope. Nope. It's not. Which I will tell you, last week, so I just started working in some of the other states. And so, and it's what I call a travel trip, but I didn't fly somewhere. So on Thursday of last week, I bought, and these are just strictly CRM leads. I saw that there was 86 leads in a county in Oklahoma, 3 hours away. So on, actually on, I guess it was Tuesday, I'm sorry, on Monday, because I ran the appointments on Wednesday. So that was last week. That's whenever I had so much come in. So I set appointments on Monday, and I set up my all day long on Wednesday was in Oklahoma. So I set 12 appointments in Oklahoma. So I just got up 6 o'clock, drove to Oklahoma 3 hours, ran 12 appointments, and then I drove back and got home about 1 o'clock in the morning. But I sold 5 out of the 12 appointments that I had. So
Great. The one thing I'll tell you, Tabitha, that I hear in your responses is I could tell you're tenacious. I can tell that you're going to do this because of the conviction you have in saying, I'm going to do whatever it takes to hit my number, right? And I think a lot of times people don't believe in themselves or don't have that conviction to really hit their goals and do whatever it takes, right? Run any day. Make sure you have 30 appointments. Invest the money you need to invest to make sure that is your goal is attained, right?
right.
So awesome. So why don't we do a little, obviously you got years and years of experience of booking appointments. So why don't we go through and book an appointment together, and let's role play so people can hear your script, so we can pour into the team here.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. What lead are we calling?
I only do final expense. I haven't ventured into mortgage protection yet. So
Okay.
that's all I do.
Okay. That's fine.
Okay. All right. So, hi, Clay. This is Tabitha. I'm getting back to you regarding the state regulated final expense plan that you you sent into the office. You are requesting information on that. My job is just to make sure that we get you the information, and I need to verify your date of birth. Is your date of birth 3/18/71?
Yes.
Great. And I have your address at 123 Main Street. Is that correct?
Yes. Wait, what was this for again?
It's regarding the state regulated life insurance plans. You sent in a request online wanting information, wanting to find out what you qualify for.
Oh, okay.
And so my job is to provide you with the information and let you know what you qualify for. So I am going to be dispatched out in your area tomorrow. I only have 2 times left available that I could squeeze you in. I have a 10:15 or a 3:30. Which time works best for you?
Do you have to see me?
Absolutely. There's 2 reasons I have to see you. We need to first make sure that someone is not trying to fraudulently take something out in your name. And then secondly, I need to make sure that you're not confined to a hospital bed.
Got it. Okay.
So I can either do it at 10:15 or 3:30. Which time works best for you?
Well, neither. Those times don't work for me.
Okay. Well, keep in mind, it does only take 10 or 15 minutes. I can stop by there. I can drop off the information to you, briefly explain to you what plans you qualify for, and then I'm out the door. What you do with the information with that is up to you.
Got it.
So I can come by there at 3:30, or if that's not good, I can squeeze you in about 3:45 if that helps.
Later?
Sure. If you want to do it in the evening, I can do a 7:30.
Yeah. Let's do, if you have around the 7:30, 6 or 7, 7:30 is fine.
Okay, perfect. I'll see you at 7:30. I needed just to find out, so is there any gates, any large dogs, anything like that?
No.
Okay. And is your house number visible, like on your mailbox or your door?
It's on the side of the house.
Okay, perfect. If you could grab a piece of paper and a pen, I'd like for you to jot down my name,
Okay.
Tabitha Miller,
Mm-hmm.
and I have a confirmation code of KJ0912.
Okay. Got it.
And oh, sorry, I forgot. Are you working or retired?
I'm working.
Okay. So just so you know, normally I do that in the middle before I actually set the appointment. Just wasn't thinking about it at the time. I just kind of go through the motions of it.
All right. Yeah, that was the one piece of advice that I would.
Yeah, I always ask them so I'll ask them if they're smoking, non-smoking. I ask them if they're working or disabled or retired. And then I ask them if they're married, single, or a widow.
Yep. Perfect. Yeah.
I
And
just
the
forgot to
reason,
include it.
yeah, and the reason why everybody wants to do that, right, is it's called clearing the calendar. You want to find out when they're
Yeah,
busy,
yeah.
so that way you know when they're available, so that way you can propose a time that works specifically for them, because you know they're not at work or they're not.
Right. Yeah.
So, awesome job, awesome. So, talk to us a little bit about appointments, right? So, you're in the field. Obviously, you're setting a bunch of appointments, but what's been the sauce? What's been helping you close business at such a high level?
I would say I don't like to give up. It is a struggle with not knowing. I use the little cheat sheet, or I text Erica, or I'll call Clay or call Erica. But sometimes it takes submitting 3 different applications before you get an approval.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like 3 weeks ago, after I got my second approval, I would have been so nervous, frustrated. I probably would have just said, okay, I don't find anything that I can do for you.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you're starting to think about the time, because when you're new, it takes us a lot longer to go through those application processes. So to know where to pivot and go to, which I'm still learning on that. I mean, I'm still learning, Erica will say, like, pivot to this one. Well, then that one doesn't work. You've got to pivot to another one. And I'm thinking about, okay, now this is taking over an hour, what are they thinking? So I really, because I am slower on that process, I try to build a little bit of rapport. And while I'm doing the application, I try to talk to them about different things, their land, their dogs.
So what does it look like? I think it's crucial to get support from your manager, your coach, right? I think that's important, especially in the beginning when we're talking about underwriting, right? So
right.
I think what you're referencing is in the beginning, underwriting, case design, you're just not sure of it yet, just because you're new to this side of it. But talk to us about what you're actually doing in the appointment. What's been the biggest thing for you before you even call Clay or Erica? What are you doing? What's helping you make sure that you're actually able to help somebody when you're sitting down with them?
Well, I tell a story, explain if it's a husband and wife. I explain, okay, well, Bob, what is this going to look like if Mary's not here? Or Mary, what's this going to look like if Bob is not here? Especially if they have nothing in place, how I'll ask them directly, what would you do if something happens to Bob? You've already told me you don't have money in the savings. How would you cover his funeral expenses? Mm-hmm. So I just lay out stories, and ask them what would they do? And most of the time they just look at you like, I don't know. Mm-hmm. Or I guess maybe my child. And then I'll ask them and say, so you want to put that burden on your child when you can just set something up right now to have it taken care of, and you have that peace of mind to where you don't have to put the burden on your family, your daughter, or your son or grandchild, or whoever it may be.
That's money. And what I hear you saying there, Tabitha, is you're making it real for people, right? And I think that's one thing that early on when you're new in this business, guys, that a lot of people overlook, right? And it's asking situational questions that are real and that put people in a perspective so that they take a step back and they have to ask themselves, what would really happen? What would that look like? What is my life going to look like if this takes place?
Mhm.
Because now you got to the emotion. You got to, oh my gosh, I need to take care of this. Because a
Mhm.
lot of times if you don't do that, Tabitha, have you had instances where you haven't done that and then you noticed you weren't able to actually help them because you weren't able to get to that place?
Yes, yes. Especially in the very beginning, you're a little uncomfortable about being so blunt. Okay, if you die next week, what are you going to do? Because, I mean, people get uncomfortable with that conversation. I mean, my mother has stage 4 cancer and she's dying, and I get blunt with her and she still avoids it. But you have to be just very blunt and just tell them you're going to die. You're going to die. You don't know if it's going to be next week or a month from now, but you need to be prepared. And
100%.
and you may not be able to afford, and I'll tell them you may not be able to afford what you want, but it's better to have something in place than nothing.
Agreed. So I love the way that you're consulting people and you're being real with people, right? So and the one thing that I hear you doing really well is you're asking questions, you're not telling people, right? I think a lot of times in the beginning, people or new agents are telling people, well, hey, you need this because. Well, it's got to be their thought. And the way you make it their thought is you ask them the question, and then now that thought goes in their head, and then they're the ones saying it, and now you can actually help them out because they've opened up their mind. That's how you get them to open their mind to understanding that this is a need, not just a want.
Mm-hmm. And it's always important to ask them, if you are not here, who is going to pick up and take care of all this for you? Who is the one that's going to have to figure it out? If you don't have something set up and in place, who's going to figure that out for you? Who's going to be burdened with that?
Absolutely. And guys, if this is your first time listening in, or you're trying to improve your close ratio, or you want to improve your in-home, the first thing that I would suggest each and every one of you do is get this down and get it down well, and do it early on in the appointment. Because the earlier you can do this in the appointment and get into it, the more real this becomes for people, and the more that they're actually going to listen, right? And so find out their why. Why did they fill out the form? What is it going to look like if they pass? Who's going to be the beneficiary? What's their situation going to look like, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
you want to, especially in the beginning, be a very good interviewer. So you're asking good questions. So that way, and now have the ammunition to help people the best way. And I say ammunition in a sense of, once you know what they're looking for, you can actually create a solution to help them with their problem. And so
Right.
that information becomes your ammunition to solve their problem. So,
Right.
all right. So Tabitha, I mean, obviously you've been killing it. Um, any last tips that you'd want to leave the team with if they're new? Maybe they just started here, a month, 2, 3 months ago, and maybe they just haven't found their stride yet. Some kind of words of wisdom, encouragement, or tips that can help somebody maybe turn the corner, or go out there and make more money this week.
I would just it's about the numbers. You have to be consistent. Do not be scared to spend the money on the leads. I know when you're starting out, I mean, I told Clay, I was like, that's a little scary, but the numbers work. You just have to buy the leads, make the calls, set the appointments. It's all a numbers game. That's all it is.
I love it. I love it, Tabitha. And guys, if you haven't noticed, everyone says the same answer here at Family First Life.
Mm-hmm. It
Why?
is.
Because didn't we lay out the blueprint for you?
Yep.
And does that blueprint work, Tabitha?
It absolutely does.
It absolutely works, right? So it's like or not me, but Family First Life is handing us the blueprint to a business that we can literally print money on. And
Right.
the only difference between me, you, or the next person that's going to do this is the person that's going to run more appointments, buy more leads, and help more families. And so guys, Tabitha, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for pouring into us, and proud to have you on the team. I know you're going to be keep crushing it on the leaderboard, and you said 50K this month.
Yep, that's what I'm working for.
I mean, I'm thinking you can probably do more. If you're doing 70K in a week, you're probably going to be closer to 70, 75 if you keep that up. It's a 5-week month. So
yeah, that would be awesome. Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
It's a pleasure. Thank you again, and keep crushing it out there. And guys, keep this simple. Don't overthink it. Families need help. The ones that need help are the ones replying to the mailers, the marketing campaigns. They're the leads. Those are the people you should be calling today. Those are the people you're going to see in the next few days. Those are the people you're going to help. And then you're going to get a deposit from the insurance company. Keep it simple. Go to work, buy leads, book appointments, help families. Guys, hope this was helpful. Till next time, God bless. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.